Hello, beautiful beings. Oh, Doozer, you're not in your blanket right. There you go, bud. So this is really fun. One of my unicorn subscribers just emailed me. We've been emailing quite a bit. He likes to ask the ancients questions, which is really fun. And so he just asked me a whole bunch of questions, and I asked him if I could record a video about it as I asked the ancients. Information was already coming through for him that I just spoke to him about, and that was the question: how do I know if I'm toxic? And what started coming through for him was, what was the first part of that, ancients? I think they said something like, if people have told you you are off and on throughout your life. And we said that there's more than one way. I'm trying to remember, so I'm getting in the way here. And of course, there's more than one way of being toxic. It's not just, other people perceive me as toxic. It's what, like when I drank tequila, when I was an alcoholic, I drank tequila and Coors Light. And after I got sober and I was in a meeting once, I said, yeah, I used to swaddle all of my resentments and depression, everything up into a cute little blanket, and I would feed it out tequila. So what makes a person toxic, one thing is when things keep coming up to want to heal, to want us to shine our light of awareness on, and we just keep cramming it down with alcohol, food, sex, whatever, and not addressing it. They're reminding me of the book, The Road Less Traveled. I didn't read it, but I did read the first few pages. And the first sentence is, life is difficult. So what was that point? Oh, thank you. There's another line in there that says, narcissism is a substitute for legitimate grieving. And a lot of people don't want to face what's coming up because it hurts. That's the ascension process. Things come up. It hurts. It feels like why am I here again? I thought this was over. When it comes up to shed, they're saying that this is one of the bravest parts about a person going through this ascension process, is not stopping at the pain, but walking through it, facing it. And so how do we do that? We get help. We get a guide. We get somebody that's been through it, that has shed for years and years, and it's very familiar now to myself, and I have the ancients, and so I'm just going to say your name. I think it would be okay with you. Steve asked, how do I? Let me see here. How do I change? The change is unburying ourselves from the rubble of conditioning. And what's really up for Steve right now is his mommy daddy issues. And the way that, and it's just beautiful because vibrationally, I've definitely felt a difference in you, just since we started talking about them, because what comes through from the ancients is the truth. And since we are all beautiful beings underneath this, sometimes very disturbed persona, we are already there. We are already healed. There is no need for healing. So what comes through from the ancients to the beautiful being that I'm interacting with is resonating, because we know the truth. We feel the truth when we hear it. But the mind will protest, because even though thoughts don't have life without our attention to them, there's the paradox with thinking. I feel that certain ways of thinking, certain thought streams have become, they're saying, parasitic and an entity. Basically, it's like an entity attachment. So So I know for myself and people that I work with, holding satsang and helping them go through their ascension process and helping uncover them from the rubble of conditioning, it can get incredibly painful. And there's crucial moments when I can see whether that person is going to be able to keep going with me or not. And I used to, because when I start interacting with somebody, depending on their level of desperation, basically, to change, to see things differently. I mean, we keep doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And that's crazy making. After a while, and they're showing me that more and more beautiful beings on planet Earth they just can't, they've reached their limit. They can't just keep trying to do the same thing over and over, but they don't know how to do it differently. And when we try to, it hurts. And so it's important to have people. There's so many guides on this planet. People will be with me either for always, for the rest of our days, or they will just be in my life for the time that they're supposed to be. I don't ever expect anybody that comes to me to hold satsang with, I never expect those people to stay in my life forever. They're not supposed to, I don't feel. I when I had my remembering experience with Muji, I listened to him for 6 to 8 hours a day on YouTube because I needed him desperately. I it's hard to explain if you haven't been through it. I thought I felt insane before my remembering experience, but when the waters break, thank you for that. When the waters break, it's a vibrational thing. I'm not trying to do anything, but I get around certain people and we break their waters. They're saying that, I asked them, why is that certain people, even though I thought I knew. It's they are at a certain level of ripeness in their life, a certain level of gestation. And so they'll start asking questions, and the answers, I have people say, how do you know that? And I say it's claircognizance. And I've worked very hard at being fluent in ancients. And so what's coming through for you is custom made for you. We can feel your vibration. And if that person stays in my life, then I start seeing their timeline. I can see down the road. And if they keep going, and I used to try to get people to keep going because I could see down their timeline, how beautiful their life was going to be. That also helped me to have even more faith with my own unfolding, my own life unfolding. But I have no idea and just no ideas about how long people should stay in my experience. And that's level on a whole new freedom. Yeah, that you got that right. So, okay. So how do I change? It's by being willing to. It's by being willing to face the pain of healing. It's unconditioning. And when we are being conditioned, it hurt really bad. We just weren't aware we were being conditioned. We just see it as life experiences that we can still look back on, and they still hurt. It's to stop feeding those memories at all, completely starve them, cut them off, because I don't want something that happened to me so long ago that I've spent so much time healing from. I don't want to keep that in my experience. That's not even my life. Those are lessons that I signed up for. My throat chakra is really, what's going on with it right now, ancients? Not a moment before I started recording this video, I was having zero throat. Well, it's not a problem. There are energies. I'll just speak about myself. I'm at they're doing this for some reason. This is the summit. I'm at such a level in my ascension now. So who we really are doesn't need to ascend, but our persona, this person, this personal identity needs to ascend. And that's many times I've seen myself like shoving off from the bottom of the ocean, and that's ascension. Many times. And that's one reason it's so gradual, because but I have prayed, downright demanded for the express route for ascension, because I have a lot to do on planet Earth. I have a lot of humans to help remember. And I know that I'm going to live to be 105 years old. So I have a lot of time left, but I still felt like I wanted as much time as possible to do that. And also my original motivator for wanting to ascend as quickly as possible was to experience having such a quiet mind. I didn't want to feel insane anymore. That was my motivator for an incredibly long time. But I know that I signed up for all of this before I came here. And I know my hands are getting so incredibly hot. See? Yeah, okay. So, and I know that I have been ascending for lifetimes. And I know for a fact that in other lifetimes, they want me to put my feet flat on the floor. I try not to do that. If you ever notice that, for years and years, I could never put my feet flat on the floor. I had to have one up or on both sides of my feet. I still work on that on a daily basis to stand with my feet flat. It's just, getting really used to feeling grounded without being afraid to be grounded. So I have seen that I have had certain roles in past lives as like an oracle. Basically what I am now, however, it's more fine-tuned now. Way less person, way less conditioned persona. It's more of a pristine flow. They're saying than I've ever got to experience in a physical form. They're showing certain lifetimes where there was so much more chaos around me, so much more hardship. Even if I was wealthy in that lifetime, my heart would just hurt. They're showing me even way back then. Well, our essence is always the same. And so I didn't realize, of course I would though. I feel that 100% of us healers have a very tender heart. We have to have an open heart to be able to be a clear, open channel for the divine to pour through. And it takes a lot of courage to have an open heart. It really, really does. I have been on my knees so many times begging the divine to help me keep my heart open because I felt so scared or so hurt. But it's like a spiritual battle, energetic battle between incredibly lower vibration and pristine. I just asked them, is the resonance of Earth, where's that compared to? Okay, sure. So she is at the vibrational level of ourselves and our own true nature without these physical forms. However, as with being in any type of abusive relationship, we just can't take it anymore. And we can't be around somebody that is so toxic that it starts dimming our light. No matter what we do, we have to escape. We have to get out. Very carefully, though, if you're taking this literally and you are in a bad situation, be very, very wise about it. Don't just react. Don't react. Somebody is going to hear that and they're going to be like, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so ancients, what is the best way to deal with toxic people? Ancients, what is the best way to deal with toxic people? Can you sum it up in just one statement? Or the number one thing is to not be around them if we can at all help it. But if we can't help it, oh, they're saying that you're talking about two specific people. Okay, we're not going to veer off on that though. How to deal with toxic people, right? Don't be around them. And there's so much to that question. There's so many different variables to it. Healing myself is number one. When, thank you, ancients, so much toxic people are my presenters. If I'm around a toxic person, then they are absolutely triggering me. So is it because I have something that's unhealed in myself that they keep touching? Or yes, and this would be unhealed also. Is that toxic person still in my life because I haven't learned how to set boundaries for myself? Because I haven't learned how to respect and love myself yet? I have all the power. The person that blames everybody else for all of their problems and never, ever takes accountability, says, I'm sorry, but they are, what was that word you just used? They are sad and empty and not courageous, and there's no life. But for people that, well, those are the toxic people, they're saying. The ones that cannot take accountability. There are toxic people that were born that way. They're psychopaths and sociopaths, and they've learned just how to act like a good person. But if you get around them, they'll suck you dry. They'll suck your energy dry. I've been around psychopaths, narcissists. All psychopaths are narcissists, but not all narcissists are psychopaths. I've been around sociopaths. I've been around so many because they are drawn to empaths, because they perceive our kindness for weakness, our sensitivity for weakness, and for a very long time I was weak because I was following my persona around. I no longer follow the person that I've shed. I don't follow her anymore. Just in the last few days, I am seeing 100% through Mamaji's eyes now. I'm not saying that I've completely obliterated who I was before as my other name, as that persona, but I've only brought with me the best possible parts of that person. And that's having a tender heart. That person always had a tender heart because I've always been empathic, and I didn't realize that. And part of changing and going through this ascension is what I used to ask myself, what if I don't like who I am if I keep growing? and intuitively at the time I knew that was such a silly question. Of course I would love who I am if I keep changing. Okay, I just asked them, why would I think that? And they're saying it came from other people that didn't want me to change. Of course it did. Okay, here. How do I know if I'm toxic? We touched on that. Or did we? because we started emailing you because the answers started coming in. It was really good practice for me too, to get really present, because as I'm writing down the questions that you were asking, I'm basically asking them because I don't really have to ask a question. I just turn my attention to it, and then they turn their attention to the answer, and it comes through. It downloads. They tell me. So, yes, they were talking about the different ways that we can be toxic, and that is right. What are we feeding our resentments? Are we cramming it down with food, something to make us feel better temporarily, or are we healing? And my friend Steve, my friend, you are healing whether you know it or not, because our songs, the questions that you're asking are so deep. They go so deep that the process has already started, to where you shining your light of awareness on these things that have bothered you for a really long time, it's pulling fear out by the taproot. That's how courageous it is to do this ascension work. It's just the most magnificent feeling to walk on this planet, to go through life with a quiet mind. I can't even imagine anything more gratifying than that. And I mean, that word just doesn't even do it. But the fact that I get to help other people access their own true nature also, which is this beautiful silent mind. I was talking to Moonstar last night, and we're just reveling in the fact that when we speak to each other, we get the ancients in stereo, because they're coming through so clearly on her side also. She used to call me, and with things that were up, and we'd work through it, and she'd just be like, oh my gosh, and she'd see things differently. But now she calls me and she says, yeah, this happened and I dealt with it like this, and this, and boom, boom, bam, boom. And we're just laughing because it's just absolutely incredible. And she was in a lot of pain at times. So was I. I mean, this ascension process is not pretty. It's not easy, but it's all worth it. Every moment of it. The growing pains are so worth it. The unconditioning. It hurts when it's happening, and it hurts when it's unraveling, but at least when we're unconditioning and reconditioning, the pain is productive. There's a paradox for you, they're saying, because even the pain of being conditioned, that ends up being productive also. I chose these lessons before I came here, and the productivity of the pain of being conditioned, I can relate to somebody else that has been through it. And you were saying that too, Steve. You were just like, it feels different to talk to you because, I mean, our stories are so much alike throughout our life. It's so beautifully synchronistic. And so, yes, okay, so a kindred spirit, he called us. I met this gentleman the other day, and he wants me to clean his RV. And I'm walking over towards him, and this wonderful woman that works here at the RV park, she called me and she said, this man needs his RV cleaned and he wants to know if you can do it. And I said, yeah, absolutely. It was just like, it was an answered prayer within like 30 seconds about money. I don't hold on to that, but I do pray about it. I want to be as open channel as possible. And okay, ancients, don't let me forget this part, but I just made up a new prayer about financial fear, or no, fear, but it does have to do with financial fear. I catch it before it even has a chance to bud. Just any thoughts at all about any thoughts starting to come in around financial fear, because a lot of things have been changing recently. But that hasn't been bringing up any fear, but there's been a few thoughts about financial fear. And I just got touched on the leg. That's been happening recently. So I made up this prayer. The more, ancients, please, the more fear I release, the more clear of an open channel I am to receive something more, something, I don't know. I wrote it down. I will tell you the next video I make. Okay, you were going to remind me. Where were we? This is the part where I don't try to remember. I just listen. I make it sound simple, but it takes a lot of practice. So, thank you so much. So, I said, I'll be right there. And I knew where she was talking about. And I'd walked past this RV so many times thinking, wow, that'd be such a nice RV to live in. Holy moly, it's so big. 5 pullouts. I've spent some time looking at this thing, this beautiful home on the way by for the last several weeks or so. And so I'm walking, to be continued. So I'm walking towards this woman and this man, and I'm used to protecting myself from men's energy. And so there was a big tree that blocked his view of me, because they were both standing there, and I had a long ways to go to get to them. They were both standing there looking at me, which they're talking, and oh, here she comes, and that's normal. But if it's a man and he's watching me for that long, I am off the charts uncomfortable, because in my experience, men become unconscious when they see a woman, if they're attracted to them. And so my guard was up. Yes, I'm having a little bit of a conversation with the ancients, because I feel, for me, I'm almost fully dilated, but it has to do with judging men about how unconscious they become when I get around them, when females get around them in general. They just no presence at all, just in the mind, thinking about what they're thinking about. So I've been really seeing the last couple days that I have resistance. I'm letting go of this resistance, because I'm seeing it. I'm shining my light of awareness on it. A person doesn't need to dig. We don't need to dig for things to heal. It comes up naturally. If we're willing to, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, there's this, and then it'll keep coming up until it's healed. And that can sometimes look like a very long time. But if a person is driven and you want it bad enough, how bad do you want it? It's way better than just going through life and just having the same thing over and over and over. The pain of ascension and facing all of it is so much better, because it's productive and it's going somewhere. And also, it's not all pain. It's undescribable joy, because there's yet another level of freedom from the mind. Freedom. Absolute freedom in this physical form. And I will get to keep experiencing deeper and deeper levels. They're just showing the expansion. I will be able to catch up with my expansion more and more and more till I'm 105 and then some, because this isn't life. This is an experience we're having. But when we drop these physical forms, then we're alive again. We're truly alive again. So what did you do today? He says, oh, this is so beautiful, Steve, because you said, how do I change? And then you said, should I change? How do I know if I need to change? Well, it depends on the level of pain you're in. Are you comfortable with the pain, or is it becoming unbearable? Hopefully it's becoming unbearable. When I ran out of room in my body, jam-packed, when I was walking down the hallway of that icky trailer house I was living in with the icky man that I had been married to for 10 months, he was, thank God, he worked in North Dakota. And then he would come home. He would come home for 2 weeks, and then he would leave for like 2 weeks or longer. And that was my saving grace. Yeah, this was an entity I was married to. Anyway, so I was walking down the hall, and I knew he was coming home in 2 days, and I would just get sick. Thank goodness I got sick. Thank goodness it made me so sick being around him. So I'm walking down my hall, and I realized all of a sudden that trading good thoughts for bad thoughts would never bring me permanent peace. I would always have to go through what I called mental spin out. I could not stop thinking about certain things. If I got in an argument with somebody, it ate me alive. I could not stop thinking about it. I couldn't. That right there was my motivator for growth, for change, for facing all of it, for bring it on. Bring it on. A couple times I've had to ask them to ease up a little bit. I almost did recently, but I didn't. It felt like the longest, like it was a major squeeze recently. We're not out of it yet. There'll always be a little bit of a squeeze, they're saying, but it's more of a hug to me now. So I'm walking down the hall, and that realization hit me that I would always have to go back to feeling insane, because the good thoughts, which was usually fantasizing about stuff that made me feel good, that was only temporary, because life is life, and things will keep coming up to trigger me, to be my mirror so I can heal. Oh, I'm so deeply grateful that never stopped. I'm so deeply grateful that alcohol, no matter what it was that I tried to feel better, I'm so grateful that wasn't a permanent solution. So I walked around more depressed than I ever had been in my entire life, and that is a massively huge statement. I fell to the floor in the fetal position. I was just like, I just didn't feel like I could go on. I had run out of ideas. Thank goodness. I was more desperate than I ever had been in my whole entire life. And I just felt absolutely jam-packed in this body. I went to bed. I don't remember the rest of the day, that second day that I had that realization. And I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up, and because I don't give up, I'm not a quitter. No way. It's in my DNA not to quit, not to give up. Because if people end their time here on planet Earth too soon, you just have to come back and do it over again, because your soul will be like, oh, dang it. Oh, anyway, so the next morning I woke up, and I had been listening to Abraham Hicks for a while. And I had my phone, and I typed in Abraham Hicks, and up came 2 boxes with Abraham Hicks, 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom, and Muji was right in the center. Abraham, Muji. And he had a cobalt blue sweater on. He had his arms back like this, and his head was back. And I knew that was my teacher. That was my next master, because the divine had been sending books, different people, Eckhart Tolle, Abraham Hicks, for so many years, because I was so desperate to feel better. There he was. I touched it. And it was, I don't even remember what was in that first video. It was only a few minutes long, but I started feeling very different, strange. I grabbed the laptop, the ex-husband, that was the only other laptop I ever had in my life, and he crashed it. It was flashing red one day. Yeah, like the devil. My oldest son-in-law recently got me my very first computer for my birth to Earth Day. Okay, anyway. That's not a bunny trail. So I grabbed the laptop and ran out in the living room, and I was sweating. I didn't know why I was sweating, and I'm starting to sweat right now. And I set it up, and I got Muji up there, and I touched the very first video. And within 3 minutes, I remembered having such an insane mind for so long. I was watching and listening to Muji talk to this man that had a microphone up really close to his mouth, and he was laughing, and it was hurting my ears because I have misophonia. I didn't know that's what it was, but it was like hurting me on the inside. But I was laughing, and I was laughing until I was crying, and I felt so angry, and I felt so hot, and all of a sudden I had no mind anymore. It was quiet like it is now. And they're saying that's why I'm talking about this, because if there is a full circle, I've come full circle. Back to that quiet mind. So effortless now. This one last thing, they keep showing me I'm almost fully dilated. There is no there either. I will keep growing. I will keep expanding for the rest of my days, right along with you. We're all at just different levels. I'm almost fully dilated. Now that I can see what was still in causing resistance, having that judgment towards men and how they become unconscious, I've only ever been focused on what they're thinking about me because I can hear it. I can feel it. I have been able to since I was very young. And so I'm working through this right now with the ancients. Now that I'm seeing it, now that I'm shining my light of awareness on it, they're helping me see it in a different way. As beautiful beings, conditioned, beautiful beings. My new friend, my kindred spirit, I had that big tree blocking his view of me, and there was only so far I could go, and I had to step around the tree. And it's like the second I touched the grass, this does not happen very often at all. The second I touched the grass, I didn't have my glasses on either, I don't think, that day. Maybe I did. But I felt his energy. I felt safe. Yeah, I really did. And he had his hand out before I got to him, and my hand was out. And then he went to bump my fist. No, my hand was out, right. And he went to bump my fist, and then I went to shake his hand, or he went to shake my hand, and I went to bump his fist, and we started laughing. And before I got to him, he said, "How are you?" And I said, and I don't say this to men because they'll make something icky out of it. I said, "Finer than frog's hair." And he got it right away. And, a lot of people don't get that saying. You can't see frog's hair. That's how great I'm doing. And he said something really sweet, and, just like kindred spirits would. He saw me as a person, and I could see that right away. I could feel that. I didn't feel like I had to put my shield up or anything. It was just lovely. Just absolutely wonderful. And he's the one that said, "I think we're kindred spirits." And I'm going to tell you the rest about the RV a little bit down the road. But I'm going to start cleaning it in the next couple days. Anyway, so I know that this person, this beautiful being, this man that I feel like I could trust, my twin soul, that doesn't have a physical form now, that's how I felt around him immediately. Immediately I felt safe and comfortable around him. Not just because he was 6'5". He was sitting at his desk when I met him. I didn't know he was that tall, but his presence was that tall. He had you still do, like such a huge presence. Of course my twin soul would. Yeah, I've had men say, "You're the biggest," one man said, "You're the biggest little person I've ever seen." And I had to get really big around him that day, and it worked. His chin, I got on my tippy toes, and he looked like an oak tree to me. He was so huge. I always said that to him. "You're so I've never seen a human being that looks like a tree." His feet were wide, his hands were wide, his shoulders were wide, and he was crazier than a shithouse rat. And he was trying to mess with my head, and I got on my tiptoes, and I was right in his face and saying, "No, no." And his chin started quivering. And I got got off my toes and went in my room, and that was it. And then, I came out later and he said that to me. He said, "You're the biggest little person I've ever seen in my life." And that's not an ego thing. When the ego gets out of the way, then we can be as big as we're supposed to be. Then we can help planet Earth. It's worth the pain. It's worth not doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Should I change? Yep. Am I toxic because I'm not as popular? I was you to help you connect to your own true nature. Thank you. Oh, yeah, and thank you so much for praying for Ocean, Steve. That makes my heart swell. It's so sweet, and I tell her that people are praying for her, and I'll take a screenshot of your email and I'll send it to her. And the fact that you said happy Aro at the end of your email was just, it was so sweet. Am I toxic because I'm not? No. Not being like everybody else is the best thing that we could possibly do for humanity. Yeah, it's trying to fit in. That's toxicity. That's all mind stuff. That's all trying to be a certain person. Well, I want to be who the divine, I want to be what comes through, who this persona is. Is there a better way to say that? I want to be that person. What this meat suit looks like with God coming through. Yeah, sure is fun. I think that's it for now. It's so beautiful. It just stops and the flow stops, but the flow doesn't stop. And I see an hourglass with the sand running out, the last few grains. But they're coming back around to seeing men. They're telling me to drop my shoulders, put my feet on the floor. Seeing men. Okay, ancients, here's my question, Steve. Ancients, how do you want me to see men? How can I automatically see men? Okay, yeah, from my heart. So I'm not triggered. And when I'm not triggered by men anymore, that means that I've healed. That means that I can actually start helping them instead of defending myself against their unconsciousness. It really, seriously, has just been my deepest desire to see men like you see them. Please help me see men. Men and women are a part of this play of life. Oh yeah, they want me to tell you, they have me stare without blinking at times, because when we look into somebody's eyes, like I've looked into Mooji's and Eckhart's and Papa G's, so many, it goes on and on in my world. When I've looked into their eyes, it helps me, I'm seeing myself in their eyes, my true nature. And there's a resonance, there's a feeling, a palpable feeling when I see that in people's eyes. And that's why it's really cute. It's so sweet that you tried 4 different times and then you were able to stare as long as me. Now they want you, when you do that, when you look into somebody's eyes that is doing that to you, they want you to look inside as you're looking in the eyes. Look from your heart, not your mind. Notice also, they're saying, how active your mind gets. When a person can see, they're like, oh wow, my mind is really active right now, that means we're present. You're in your natural state of being when you're witnessing your mind. So they're showing me men. I just have had just a major softening around men. They're saying there's no like cut way to see them. Now that I'm seeing what I was seeing, the resistance that I had towards them, now I can, so the resistance comes from when I know what they're thinking. See, it hurts. I don't feel safe. I don't, even though they can't hurt me, it's my mind judging their thoughts as disgusting because they just showed me the face I was making, and it's disgusting. And my body language, I'm all covered up, and I'm sitting here in my tiny home, safe, just thinking about that because yes, because men becoming incredibly unconscious in a sexual way is doing the most harm to planet Earth, to innocence. So they're saying that now, yes, okay. They don't just give me answers, they give me a practical way to use it in my life, the information that I'm getting, and all I have to do is practice it. So now, this is incredibly exciting. I'm deeply grateful that you've been a part of this with me. My full dilation into the rebirth of who I am in this physical form. It's Mamaji. I've been many different deities, they're saying, many different healing modalities. I'm not sure what that means. But in this lifetime, this persona is Mamaji. So when I encounter an unconscious man, I'm only saying men because I haven't got that feeling around women. Well, okay, yeah, there's been a couple. They're reminding me of somebody not that long ago. She was right. She was just like, oh, you smell so good. I was like, is this really? Really? Oh, she was on this side. Her just and she didn't move either. I moved a little ways away, and then she would just like suck right back up to me. Okay, so see okay, I get to release that now because I'm aware of the faces I make, the body language, all of it. Okay, they're saying feet on the floor because, okay, I just asked them, why do you keep having me put my feet on the floor because besides being grounded? And they're saying because Mother Earth is helping, it's going both ways and upwards and inwards also, this healing. I can feel it on the bottoms of my feet right now. They're talking about ions. I thought we only got those when we stood barefoot on the ground. Well, absolutely not. It's magical. It can't just be one way. No way. There would be no magic if it was just one way. So when I encounter an unconscious man, I will become incredibly present. And everything that they've told me in this video right now, it will come back to me because I can access that from presence. If I try to remember what was I supposed to do, then I'm in my head. It's to not be in my head. It's to starve all useless thinking. It takes practice, but it's the ascension process, and we're here for you, and so are so many other beings. Eckhart Tolle, Esther Hicks, as she channels Abraham Hicks, Elaine Thorpe, she is a trance medium. She channels Jonathan, her twin soul, and it's just so beautiful. Okay, I'll put all of these in the description box. The books, the authors, the people that have helped me, as many as I can remember. I'll put those in the description box. There's so many different beings that can help. It's that first they're showing a person coming up against just jam-packed into themselves, and then they want to do something different, but they're afraid to, because that's when demons come. That's when the lowest of the low energies come, is right before we're going to ascend to the next level. And I swear to you, the first time that we reach out for help, that's when the mind will come in the strongest. After that, it may feel it like it's as strong, but it's never as strong as that first time. Be brave. Be brave. Fight against your mind. Reach out to somebody, anybody. Start journaling. Get it out. If you can't talk to somebody, start journaling. And if you're worried somebody's going to find it, burn it. Just do whatever it takes. Journaling is amazing. I would do it so much. I filled notebooks up because it came down out of my head, down my arm, onto the paper, and then answers would come. And I just asked them, why is that? And they said that it got me present. I would sit and write down the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous because I was so out of my mind with anxiety that I couldn't even do a step. I had such a spiritual battle going on inside of me, that I wanted to drink, but just facing life without any Novocaine, without any numbing agent. I wasn't even smoking marijuana. I didn't smoke marijuana. I didn't do anything but Tylenol. See, it's spoken like a true addict. I didn't have anything in my system to alter my mood in any way for 8.5 years. And I needed that because I was about 12 years old when I got sober. I was 38 when I quit drinking. So, ancients, where are we going? Well, nowhere, because we're already here. So I would sit there. I didn't realize that it felt like a spiritual warfare going on, but I was going to win. And I knew I was going to win. I didn't know how I was going to win, but I was desperate. I was desperate not to feel insane anymore. And so I would sit down and I would start at 1 and I would literally yell. I'm like, girls, I'm so stressed out right now. I'm going to write all the steps out. And my daughters, no, so my oldest daughter was 17 when I quit drinking. My middle daughter was, I'm coming really close to saying their names, was 14. No, 15. And my youngest daughter was 12 when I quit drinking. And I would say, okay, girls, I'm gonna go do a 4-step, and then I'm like, okay, girls, I'm gonna call my sponsor now, because I had my own room for the first time. So I had a door. I was in the living room anyway, long story. So I was so worried about them feeling shut out that I didn't shut my door for a year. And gradually my sponsor got me to start closing my bedroom door, and I'd be like, I'm still available. I'm just doing whatever. And they're like, okay, Mom. Cause by that time they're teenagers. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, Mom. Not one of them ever said, well, why don't you just shut it? They knew I was going through a process, and they thought it was really sweet, the ancients are saying. And anyway, so I would go in my room and I would do a 4-step, and then I would talk to my sponsor, and they watched that over the years. They'd watch how much better I felt. 2 of them are sober. Not marijuana sober, but 2 of them don't drink and don't do drugs. It's miraculous. In our family, we are chain breakers. We are 100% chain breakers. And my youngest daughter, she's going to quit too. We've had conversations about it. There's no pushing. You can't push anybody. Nobody pushed me into quitting. Not one person. I had to get miserable enough. It didn't work anymore. It was just making it worse. Are you ready to quit? Yes. So I got on my knees one day and I said, please, please help me quit drinking. I called the divine God at that time. I don't anymore, rarely, because there's so much mental attached to it. So by the end of that week, please, God, please help me quit drinking. I don't feel like I can quit. And they said, and I didn't know I could hear my guides at that point, they said, you'll be able to hear us better when you do. And I heard it loud and clear. Just like I can hear them now, loud and clear, 24/7. They don't ever bother me, though. They're just pure love. I just asked them, have you ever woke me up in the middle of the night? They're like, well, yes, we have. But my mind was perceiving that would not be a good thing. Ancients, is there anything else? Hummingbirds have really been up for me lately. They're a really good sign. I'm really hungry now. Did we finish everything? If you have any questions for the ancients, I would love to answer those. Oh man, sometimes the way we talk really makes me laugh, because it seems like, so you're asking the ancients a question. I used to separate us, but the deeper I've went into my ascension, the more I've integrated them into, well, this physical form and this divine expression, Mamaji. They're here to help me help as many people as possible. And so I've needed a lot of helpers. My twin soul also. I've needed a lot of helpers to be able to tune in to many, many different conditioned, beautiful beings. We love you so much. satsangwithmamaji@gmail.com.